Supreme Court is siding with the Biden administration and putting a hold on a lower court judge's ruling blocking regulations on so-called ghost guns.
Justices will allow those regulations to remain during an appeal. Ghost guns are firearms made from kits at home. Law enforcement says they are much harder to trace. The federal regulation would put ghost guns in the same category as other fully assembled firearms with serial numbers and background checks. Conservative justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh said they would have allowed the lower court ruling to take effect.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. The Biden administration says it will raise the wage standards for construction workers. In Philadelphia, Vice President Kamala Harris says increasing construction workers' wages don't just benefit them.
When union wages go up, everybody's wages go up.
Harris says the Labor Department is advancing a new rule to update wage standards for construction workers, requiring locally prevailing wages and benefits to more than 1 million workers. Prevailing wage regulations are issued under federal legislation that the administration says have not been comprehensively updated in more than 4 decades. Former Vice President Mike Pence is the 8th Republican candidate to qualify to be on stage for the first Republican presidential debate in 2 weeks, saying in a statement, hopefully Donald Trump has the courage to show up.
Pence certainly received an exposure boost after being named repeatedly within the latest Trump indictment. It ended up sparking a back and forth between Trump and his former vice president this weekend, and it seems that has paid off, at least for Pence.
Fox's Alexandria Ha, former President Trump, the GOP frontrunner, has suggested he might skip the event. A sell-off on Wall Street today. The Dow down 158, the S&P falling 19, the NASDAQ down 110. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close, or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Hey, you're up next.
My throat hurts so bad. There's no way I can sing tonight.
Here, try these.
Vicks VapoCool Drops.
Yeah, Vicks VapoCool Drops has maximum strength menthol with a rush of Vicks Vapors.
Ooh, I can already feel it.
I told you. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Please welcome to the stage.
Vaporize sore throat pain fast with Vicks VapoCool Drops.
Officials say the death toll from Russian missile strikes that hit apartment buildings in an eastern Ukrainian city has climbed to 7, with at least 81 injured. A new anti-piracy law is taking effect in Italy.
A day for streamers to pop confetti. Italy's communications watchdog now has the power to shut down illegal online broadcasts in just 30 minutes, and viewers will be taking a risk as well. Potential fines of $5,500 await anyone caught using a pirated stream. It's estimated a quarter of Italian adults do so at least once a year. Streaming services across the world will take note. Multinational DAZN has the rights to Italy's top soccer league and says piracy costs media rights owners about $28 billion each year. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
The Baltimore Orioles are being called out for suspending announcer Kevin Brown.
July 23rd, ahead of a Baltimore Orioles game against the Tampa Bay Rays, broadcaster Kevin Brown spoke as a TV graphic illustrated the Orioles' struggles at the Rays' home park.
They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field, June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete.
That was July 23rd, the voice of Kevin Brown on MASN, the regional TV sports network co-owned by the Orioles, whose ownership suspended Brown for stating these relevant facts.
It's a horrendous decision by the Orioles. I don't know what they were thinking, but they've gotten exactly the reaction that they deserve.
Including comments like this one Monday night by New York Mets broadcaster Gary Cohen on SNY. Jared Max, Fox News.
New Zealand's government is partnering with U.S. investment giant BlackRock to become the first nation to have its electricity grid run entirely from renewable energy. The government is helping BlackRock launch a $1.2 billion fund to ramp up investments in wind and solar energy as well as battery storage. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for East Central Illinois, Champaign and Van Avis Saturday. Pretty quiet and eventful spell of weather ahead over the next 7 to 10 days. Couple of frontal boundaries on the move. No major rain events in store. Temperatures in check, along with humidity levels as well. A little patchy fog around in spots early on this morning. Otherwise, a partly sunny day. And there may be an isolated shower thunderstorm later on this afternoon and evening time. Up to 82 today. Light northwest wind becoming fair on the overnight tonight, 61. Tomorrow, increasing clouds. A little more significant wet weather system comes our way, and where there have been recent spells of heavy rainfall, we'll keep an eye on maybe some ponding and localized standing water again in some of those fields. A high tomorrow at 80 with showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, and early tomorrow night with a low down to 65. Sunshine 83 on Thursday. Maybe another stray shower here for Friday into Saturday. High temperatures up into the low to mid 80s. Dry Sunday at 83 degrees. Quiet weather again continues on into early next week. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Soldier.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Check. I literally just create madness.
Well, they're up.
I'm going to go off here.
They don't have a great quarterback.
I got to take a break. I'm getting in trouble.
To win the Big Ten, you first got to win the West.
Bad Bunny. Have you heard his name in a while?
No.
Has it bothered you?
No. Defensively, they got to come in with some confidence.
Is that even analytics?
I'm in a parking garage, kind of lost.
Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, RJ Melendez, Coleman Hawkins.
These trophy presentations aren't over.
I didn't come here to go 5 and 7.
I'm so proud of Illinois football right now. I'm so tired of Joel Embiid.
We're not taking Patrick Corbin.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh.
You are Reba McEntire's niece.
Roshan Russell.
Coach Bielma.
You no longer salute to yourself.
What? We got all kinds of things for you here.
There's a lot of glass.
Oh.
Guys, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
It's The Drive.
Schmack Dogs.
Thunderstruck! Yeah, Thunderstruck!
Good morning. Here we go. It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. I am Lon Tay, and I am currently the only one here. Because Derek Piper is running in from the street. He just got caught by the longest train in the history of Philo, Illinois. It doesn't even stop. It was going like 2 miles an hour, and I knew he was behind it. But he's here, alas. And Pipes and I will be carrying on a great show. We're actually off a little bit early today. Cardinals baseball, they're down in Tampa. I'm supposed to be down in Tampa. I think I sent an email to Derek Piper about 6 months ago saying, hey, I'm probably going to go to this thing, but I didn't end up going.
Blame Kyle.
That's what I'm going to do. That's right, because even if I would have gone, we would have been in trouble because Kyle's not here. But he will be.
How dare him not, or how dare he, I think is the actual correct English, take some time off and leave us to where we're strapped and we actually have to do the show together.
I mean,
like day in and day out.
I guess it is Tay and Piper. You think if we threw his name in the title, he'd show more vested interest in this thing? Otherwise, we
could try it.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, he's coming into his sophomore year, so I got to spend a few more days with mom and dad and my brother. I mean, come on. No, listen, we're glad that he is able to do it.
We say that very much kidding.
We both love our parents.
Of course.
Right. So obviously, I got something coming up here. When I was in college, I could not wait to get home after my freshman year. I was ready to get back home, kind of get some of mom's cooking, get back to life that I knew it, back with my buddies, that kind of stuff, and there was certainly that normality that I kind of wanted to get back to, even though I had a great freshman year at SIU, made a lot of great friends, and I was never really homesick, but I was just excited to get back home. After my sophomore year, the thought of going home was basically just dread. And I know that Mom listened, so I'm sorry, Mom. It's nothing against you. I still wanted to see you, and I enjoyed when you took trips down to SIU, though I think you took more to see my brother at Illinois State, but that's for another day. We'll talk about that
never
later.
came up at a dinner table.
Right?
Never has, I bet.
No. Well, it's so much easier to get to ISU is what I do. Anyway, that said, after my sophomore year, I was in. Were you kind of the same way?
I mean, I went to U of I, and I'm a Champaign product, so it was very easy for me to go home. But yes, later on in college, it's the summer, but the bars are still open.
Yeah.
And, you can still have fun and do your thing. So
see, you were almost dangerously close to home.
I would say that's accurate.
To where you were expected.
There was expectations a little bit. Yeah.
Right. Whereas I had to fill up the tank with gas. I'm a poor college student, drive 3 hours. I mean,
But my mom would probably counter with, well, if I went to SIU, I'd probably learn how to go to a laundromat and get those quarters and learn how to do your laundry instead of just showing up every Friday and be like, hey, I got this stash of laundry. If you got some time.
Yeah, right. And you knew.
And it wasn't even like, okay, you know where it is. She was always kind of, she spoiled me. I mean,
that thing? Those would be folded and fresh
by
Sunday, and you'd have another week of clothes.
Yes.
That is true. That is true about heading where I did to Southern, is that, you learned how to pay bills. Not that you didn't. You learned how to do your laundry. You learned how to cook. Just a lot of that kind of stuff that I think are the huge things about college, just going out on your own and figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
So college athletes get on campus early. We know this.
Sure do.
And football, of course, I think day 6 today, or 5 or 6, I've lost track now, of Illinois training camp as they get set. So I downloaded a couple of bites here, for one from Casey Washington, who's now in his 5th year at Illinois, and also another from Barry Lunny Jr. about this wide receiver room. I was hoping to find something from George McDonald, who spoke to the media today, but I haven't seen it yet. So maybe if that comes up, we can play a little bit of Coach McDonald. But that wide receiver room is something that I wanted to kind of talk to you about today as we go along and kind of get your take on that, because, the defensive side of the ball, we feel like we kind of know some answers there. We kind of know where the glaring, I don't want to say weakness, the glaring question will be in that secondary. So on the Illini offensive side, is the question mark maybe more as the running back? Is it more of the receiver? So I want to ask you about that as we go along. Real quick, our guy, Aaron Lemming, will join us at 3:30. I know you're hyped up to talk some Chicago Bears.
I am.
Isn't it amazing what 1 year, just 1 year can do? Last year, Aaron and I even texted about this last night. He's like, you guys, you know me. I'm always like, man, we really appreciate it. And he's like, Lon, anytime. I really, truly enjoy coming on. But he's like, at least this year we've got some things to look forward to. He's like, last year was a drag. I'm like, yeah, it was almost, I felt bad watching Pipes. And then I told him, I said, unfortunately, I have that burden this year. But for you to look forward to Chicago Bears football, no Aaron Rodgers.
That's part of it, yeah.
I did like what Detroit did with their backup QB.
Brought in Teddy Bridgewater?
That's right.
Yeah.
I like
all
that.
He does seemingly is win whenever their starting quarterback in front of him gets hurt.
I know Goff looked good last year, and I think Jared Goff's a pretty good quarterback. But I like what Detroit did. They almost are acting like they could win a division. They're acting like that. Of course. Now, something will happen because it's the Detroit Lions, right? But other than that, I mean, and of course Minnesota's good again, but no Dalvin Cook. So no Aaron Rodgers, no Dalvin Cook. You add Bridgewater to the division, but still there's an excitement level for you about these Bears.
100%. And it does – the core of it is Justin Fields' progression last year. I know that there is still a lot of nitpicking, and not saying that it's not for very good reason in terms of his passing for sure. Like, he still has to become a more efficient passer, better downfield, and all of that. And with that, you would hope in terms of translating as you get DJ Moore, get a full season of Chase Claypool. I was listening, and I texted my buddies today. I was listening to a Chicago Bears podcast on The Athletic with Hogue and Johns, and they were talking about there's a lot of positive buzz about Claypool in training camp right now, which is a little – look, there's positive buzz, and I joked about it last week. There's positive buzz on just about any player in the league, most likely.
Our kicker made a field goal.
And there's some clip on Twitter, and you're trying to sift through all that, but people that have actually been there day in and day out said, hey, he looks pretty good. that is encouraging for a guy you spent a second-round pick on to be able to acquire. So the weapons have been upgraded around Justin Fields. I hope the offensive line is enough of a step forward, and I'm curious to hear what Aaron Leming has to say about that, because they have gone out and added some new pieces. They got a guy in the draft, and Darnell Wright, and then also you get Gabe Davis, or not Gabe Davis, the receiver for the Bills, Nate Davis, the guard out of the Titans, to really solidify that group up front for him. So, yes, then when you're pairing that with, you no longer have to see, hopefully, a Hall of Fame quarterback in Green Bay. If Jordan Love is that, I quit.
I was going to say,
I quit.
You just, move on.
But, no Aaron Rodgers. It's a transition year in Green Bay. The Lions are a fun team and an offensively talented team. Are they a good or really good team?
That's fair.
And being able to step into that now, is their defense good enough? Or just having expectations around them, the highest probably in a long time. And the Vikings can score it, and yes, you have to deal with Justin Jefferson, but their defense is pretty average, maybe at best, and they won a ton of close games last year, and it's kind of the thing that a lot of people point to going into a new season and say, all right, this team was in 10 one-score games, and they won like 8 of them. Well, the next year, there's a good chance that quote-unquote luck doesn't go their way, and they maybe take a step back. So I'm excited. I'm hoping to be the witness of the next Jalen Hurts type of progression in terms of Fields and what they put around him. Yes, the Eagles have done as well as anybody in terms
of
checking every box on their roster. Even just can the Bears be this year's Jacksonville Jaguars, who found their way into the playoffs, made some noise by beating the Chargers in one of the wildest playoff games I can remember. But yes, I'm excited. It's kind of the long-winded answer to your question, but that's the point. I want to talk Bears football because I'm excited.
Well, no, and we're going to do that again with Aaron Leming at 3:30. It's interesting what you said about the Eagles. Not only did they just absolutely zip to the top, getting in the Super Bowl, but then they had all those draft picks. I mean, they have done everything right in the last couple of years. So kudos to the Eagles. I'm sure they're going to be near the top for a while, especially with a guy like Jalen Hurts and a great wide receiver crew, and of course, a good running back now.
Well, they have.
They
have everything, but they have a good safety.
That's what it is. I knew I'd get that wrong. I knew I would get that wrong.
Chase with the
Bengals. My fault. That is absolutely my fault. One thing I thought of while you were talking about the Bears, you mentioned like Detroit, and I thought to myself, it seems like home field advantage means something in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think some sports, I'm not sure it means a lot in baseball. I don't know. I mean, you've got the hammer, right? You get to kind of bat last. That certainly makes a big difference in terms of the game itself. But in terms of, going into another stadium, I don't know. Does it play that much of a factor? I'm sure it does. But in the NFL, I feel like it does. So I always like to get this perspective. As a Bears fan, you being a Bears fan, when you guys go to Detroit or Minnesota or Green Bay, now I think Green Bay, I think I know the answer here. Is there one of those spots or just how do you feel about all three in terms of going in there? Like, are you scared to go play at Lambeau? I would assume.
Yes. I'm terrified of everything Green Bay. Although I'm not terrified of Jordan Love, but yes, I have been conditioned for the 32 years of my life to fear the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely. Now,
and Lambeau's an awesome venue, and is a very tough place to play.
I would assume. And it's cold. I mean, there's just all the ingredients of...
Just wait until... And now you're going to get me on a soapbox, but wait till the Bears move into their new stadium and play indoors, and then it's a disadvantage for a northern team to go a few hours north to play Green Bay, and it's like, well, this team isn't... How will they handle the snow and the cold and soft? I hate it.
Maybe Justin Fields wants that dome.
I'm sure he's going to be that much quicker on turf, but still,
I would hate to play in cold weather.
I know.
I would hate it. Now, football guys, I think they have a different mentality, and I don't think they worry about it. They don't even wear sleeves.
No, and their arms have to be just numb. They can't feel those.
And your body gets tight in the cold. I just wouldn't like it. Now you got Minnesota, so you got the Skull.
That's a good fan base.
I love that fan base.
And the horn, man.
To start the
well, they got the horn to start the game, and then every first down.
Or whatever that, I can't do it.
I I'm glad you tried because I was thinking about trying. I was like, it's going to sound bad. Don't do it.
I sounded more like the what was the thing in the World Cup?
Oh, the Vuvuzela.
Yeah, the Vuvuzela years ago. So that did get annoying.
Terrible.
What are you thinking going into Minnesota? Is it, obviously not as much as Lambeau, but what do you feel like when the Bears go to Minnesota?
I think it's a team, for the most part, the Bears have played pretty well, like throughout my lifetime. Prior, you go early 2000s when they had Randy Moss and Dante Culpepper.
Ooh.
I mean, and then you went into that dome. That was pretty terrifying as well. But it is, again, like they have a really good team. Their fan base shows out, and it's a loud. When you're in that enclosed environment, it's a really loud place to play, and I think that is a tough venue, especially when it's a big game. Now, like, it's been a while since it's been enough to have like a Bears game that you really pinpoint and focus, and like you try to go analyze every aspect of it. Oh, the actual environment of the game, the crowd's going to be fired up to see the Bears because it's a big game. It's been a little while,
It's been a while.
Yeah, Minnesota tough, not as tough as Green Bay, I don't think.
Right,
but then Detroit
definitely third.
Yeah. That's always one where you anticipate now in their good years, they could be in a better position, but for the most part, it's the Bears and Lions, unfortunately, looking eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the Bears in their years and the Lions down, but maybe a kind of like invade your territory type of situation. If the Bears are good, then they'll have a good showing there in Detroit, and the Lions. That's where I'm very, very. And I want to hit on this later because today is, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because we got Aaron Lemon coming on, but tonight is the first showing of Hard Knocks.
Oh.
First episode. You got the New York Jets, who I think is the most intriguing team to me
I don't think
in
there's
the
any doubt.
NFL. So I put together a list, the top 5 intriguing teams in the NFL for this upcoming season.
Nice.
I have the Lions on there. I'll put that out there. But I think later in the show we should discuss it.
I love it.
And with that, I think that the Lions, just their fan base turnout and just what that looks like for them in a year, there's a lot of expectations, will be interesting.
I'm kind of now. It's not that I'm pulling against the Bears, right? I've always said they've always been kind of my second favorite team. I don't mind when they do well because I have a lot of friends that are Bears fans. You are, so I enjoy kind of seeing you guys have fun on Sundays and during the week. But it will be kind of cool to see if the Lions do well, and I think they would be a team that I could easily kind of jump on board with and pull for them to get some wins because they've just haven't much in my lifetime. Now, I got one more about this division, then I want to switch sports real quick. I'm assuming you loved Barry Sanders, right? I mean, all of us loved watching Barry Sanders. What was that like to not only kind of enjoy watching him, but then knowing you had to play against him?
Yeah, and I was a little young.
Oh, that's true.
Because he retired, late 90s?
Yeah.
Is that probably right?
I just thought of that.
So I wasn't that old, but I mean, I've seen a million clips, and he was just dynamic, electric.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but yeah, in terms of me being maybe old enough to fully comprehend or fully appreciate, I was a little on the young side in that sense. I got to see, like I mentioned, Randy Moss.
Yes.
Saw Brett Favre. I've seen some really fun players in this division, Aaron Rodgers.
No doubt.
Fun/talented/ guys that I learned to hate. But
Mark Chmura.
Yeah.
How many just Dorsey Levens? Now, that was too young for you.
I know Dorsey Levens.
You talk about a fantasy guy.
Antonio Freeman.
Yes.
On that team.
Dorsey Levens was one of those, one of the first kind of guys that really excelled at the catch. So when fantasy football, you loved having, I think he was number 34. You loved having Dorsey Levens on your team because you knew he was going to just fill up the stat book because Favre would, Favre or, did he play with Rodgers? Probably not. So Favre would always just kind of check down to Levens, and it was just easy 8 yards, easy points for you in fantasy, and it's like, let's go.
And after that, they've had a nice stretch of running backs.
They really
Ahman
have.
Green was really darn good. Obviously played with Favre. I don't know if Rodgers caught the tail end. I don't think he did because it was Ryan Grant.
They have had some good.
Someone that I don't think was drafted highly but turned out to be a very productive.
Of course he did.
Yeah, I know, right?
Of course he did. All right, so we will talk some Bears coming up in about 6 minutes with Aaron Lemming. Let me switch a little bit. We should have talked more about him yesterday because now all the Cubs fans are going to be like, oh, now that we lose a game, you're going to bring it up.
Let's talk Cubbies.
But we do have pennant chase fever with the Cubs, right? 2.5, I think, back now.
One out of the wild card.
That's right. They lose last night to the Mets 11-2. That did not go well out in New York. And, of course, the Mets are one of those teams that has really failed this season. I mean, you talk about the Cardinals being frustrated. Imagine being the Mets with their payroll and doing what they've done. They're dead last in the East. So it's one of those that I'm sure New York fans are not happy about. But yet the Cubs lose this first game. They've played so well, as we mentioned, winning, 2 of 3 against the Braves, 3 of 4 against the Reds. You lose the opener. Are we yet in the frame where you feel like it's almost like a must-win every night? Or is there's still plenty of baseball left? You got 2 full months, essentially.
There's
left.
enough baseball left.
Okay. I think you're right.
But you don't want to go to New York and drop a series
No.
against a team that's one of the most disappointing squads in baseball.
That would struggle. Tyon,
Yep.
That's how you said he's on the hill tonight. So the Cubbies will need to bounce back. And, of course, you can hear that is at 105.9?
US 105.9.
Okay, 105.9. That's got all the Cubs games, of course. Cardinals, as I started this segment with, we're off early today around 4:45 or so for Cardinals pregame being down in Tampa. What did you think of the Orioles announcer being suspended 2 games? Is that let me tell you exactly what that is. Hey, Baltimore, act like you've been there.
Yeah.
They now feel like, well, we are one of the better teams in baseball, and then the announcer does nothing wrong. Just points out exactly what is even on the screen, and they suspend him for 2 games, and they are being absolutely butchered for this.
It's a joke.
As they should be.
Yeah, they deserve all of it. And he just pointed out facts and stats of them when they purposely were losing games to get high draft picks and really do that full rebuild to get Adley Rutschman, to get Gunnar Henderson. And it would be a different situation, I think, which, again, you could put any broadcaster in that spot, and if he's just talking about win and loss results, like, how can you fault them? There's no bias on that in general. But
there's no opinion.
If the Royals guy, who they're still horrible, and if he's talking about how horrible this Royals team's been really against anybody, then maybe you're like, okay, sell it a little bit more so people are sticking with us. The Orioles guy, and I think is it Kevin Miller?
Kevin Brown?
Kevin Brown?
I think Brown.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Brown.
Kevin Brown, who used to be a pitcher.
Different guy.
Yeah, different guy.
Where he's talking about, he's just putting the contrast of this is what the Orioles were doing against the Rays for a long stretch of time. Now they've actually had their best showing against them because the Orioles are having a great season.
To me, he's almost talking up the team.
Yeah, it's just a reference point of, this season has been pretty good, hasn't it, Orioles fans? It's ridiculous.
Very strange.
They should come out, the ownership should come out with a formal apology because they look terrible in this.
They look like idiots. That's exactly what they do. All right, if you want to weigh in, 359-2255. I've got to pull up the U of I Atlanta Link text line. I have not done that yet. Anything of note?
Randy says that Louis Riddick and Mike Tannenbaum picked the Green Bay Packers to win the division.
Ooh.
They said they love Jordan Love.
Oh, boy.
When discussing on Get Up this morning. Oh, boy. Louis Riddick also loved Mitch Trubisky, so I'll throw that out there.
Well, then that's all you needed to tell me. In a second, Tapman's towing phone line will be in use with Aaron Leming, Bears Report. We're going to talk to him about the Chicago Bears. Next hour, we'll talk a little Illinois football, maybe focus in on that wide receiver room. I want to ask Pipe some questions there. And he has his 5 most interesting NFL teams for this season. Is that right?
I do.
Is that how you
most
put it?
Intriguing.
Most intriguing.
Same thing. Intriguing, interesting.
Yeah, basically the same adjective, right? Is that an adjective?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
It's been a long time since I took English. All right, let's get out of here. Have Aaron Leming come in next. We are back. It is The Drive. When you're looking for a business to work with, you choose someone local, someone who's terrific at what they do. A company that helps others in need in Champaign-Urbana, and a company that stands behind what they do. That company is Roof Doctors. Roof Doctors has been keeping the rain out for over 30 years. Randy and Tammy and their family work hard to not only make sure you're 100% satisfied by their work, but that they also strive to have a positive impact on Champaign-Urbana. Roof Doctors in Urbana, they make you their #1 priority.
Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company is looking for drivers with their CDL and great driving record to join their team. What a terrific company, invested in so many charities in our community and giving their staff opportunities for growth, health and dental insurance, paid time off for vacations, holidays, and family leave. This is the type of environment you've been looking for, drivers. Of course, Pepsi is an equal opportunity employer as they search for a good representative of the company to help with deliveries. Learn more online at PepsiColaCU.com.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, bringing us our Stevie J Broadcasting Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
We just celebrate police because they ought to be celebrated, folks. Difference between anarchy and peace. We have Officer Chloe Folks. She is our Law Enforcement Official of the Month. She's at the Urbana Police Department. So why did you want to be a police officer?
And I guess I've always just had a passion for serving my community. I always make the joke that growing up I used to watch Criminal Minds instead of Barney, and I just always had a passion in watching those shows and being interested in how to help other people.
What do you want people to know about police officers?
I want people to know that we're out there to help. I know there's kind of a stigma with police officers, but I genuinely love seeing people. I love hearing new stories every single day, doing something new outside of just a normal, mundane desk job. We have fun out there, we help people, but there's also the risk, scary side of it, but that's the risk that I'm willing to take to see new people.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, delivering within a 150-mile radius of Champaign-Urbana, supporting our Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
Hi, this is Kirk Lehman with Aftershock Decals and Design, and right now we are looking for an honest, hardworking individual that wants a career with Aftershock Decals and Design. If you have any kind of experience wrapping vehicles, tinting windows, we want you.
You can't touch this.
No, not that kind of wrapper.
Can't touch this.
Please go to our website at AftershockDD.com, click on the Jobs tab, and send in your resume. We want you. AftershockDD.com.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday mornings 7 to 9, here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
A little love for ELO. Is that the name of the band, or is it Mr. Blue Sky?
I wouldn't be able to answer that one.
Did Isaac Ambrose have this one? I think he did. In his brief time with us, old Isaac kind of got the raw end of a deal there, but I won't go into specifics. But yeah, I always miss Isaac, always enjoy having him and all of our interns and producers, and starting not to like Kyle because he's deciding that he likes things other than us, so he doesn't show up to work. So
can't believe it.
I do like giving them crap when they're not here. Then I know if they listen.
You wonder if they're listening.
Yeah, exactly. So
like Hans would text in every once in a while when we were during the week, because he was just a 1 day a week guy. Hey, defending himself. Mm-hmm. Then he shows up on Friday and he's the star of the show. But shout out Hans D.
Yeah, Hans D told me like a month and a half ago he's going to run by. And here we are. So unless he's come by on a day I wasn't here, did he show up Friday? And
he was not here Friday.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I think Hans got him a job as a private flight or a pilot. So I'm excited we got to catch up with Hans.
Let's do it.
I mean, I don't even know how to say his job title because he doesn't care to say hi to us anymore. Well, the guy that never says no to me is Aaron Lemming. What's up, Aaron?
What's going on, man? That was a low blow right there.
Pipes, that was pretty good of me, actually, just think of that. Can I give myself a hold on?
You can... It's okay.
So the story is that Derek tried to get you on Friday, but obviously you were tied up and busy and you couldn't do it. Derek's like, hey, Aaron couldn't join us Friday. Maybe he could do it this week. That's all he said. But now I want to make some spectacle out of it and say, well, obviously he joins me when I ask him. So thanks, Aaron.
I love you, Derek.
Love you too, Aaron.
Get you down.
I figure this will be the only time I speak during this interview. So because now Derek's going to go on about a 20-minute rampage on the excitement
I'm
of the Bears.
still no less excited. I'll just let you know that.
Can I ask you this? There's been a lot of people saying that your quarterback, Mr. Fields, is going to make a huge jump this year. And I know he did last year, but is it almost like, are expectations almost a little high? I know Derek had even mentioned some saying possible MVP. I mean, is that putting too much on him this year?
I think so. I mean, I think we have to be realistic, right? I mean, obviously everybody points to Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen and all these year 3 jumps, and that would be great. I think he's absolutely capable of that. But, I mean, we're talking historic jumps in year 3 from those two guys. So I think, obviously, he needs to take the next step forward as a passer, right? And I think that's the big thing. But looking at this offense and what they're trying to do, I mean, just look at their last signing with Mercedes Lewis, the tight end. I mean, he's a run blocker and a pass blocker, right? So he's more of a blocking kind of guy. I think they're still going to run the ball a lot this year. And I think if you even go back and you look at some of these Green Bay offenses over the last few years, I mean, the emphasis is still going to be on running the ball, which means, Justin Fields isn't going to be throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game, which means he's not going to be consistently throwing for 300-plus yards. So I think there's a lot of progression that can be made, but I think that in terms of looking at, what some people are projecting him as, I mean, to be an MVP quarterback, an MVP as a whole, I mean, you're talking probably 4,500 yards, another 7,800 yards rushing. And that just feels like a lot for anybody, especially somebody going into year 3 with a lot of new weapons on the offensive side of the ball.
Aaron, to follow that up, and you mentioned being able to run the ball and be effective there, a big part of that last year was Justin Fields himself, not to take away from David Montgomery and obviously also Khalil Herbert, who I want to ask you about as we go along. But do you get the sense that the Bears are still comfortable with Fields running as much as he did last year? And what do you think that production can look like coming off a season in which he had the second most rushing yards in a season in the history of the NFL, just behind Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, well, and I think that's kind of a key thing, right? Because, I mean, Ryan Poles was asked about that, and Matt Eberflus has been asked about that. And I think there's a very fine balance, right, when you're looking at Justin Fields' game and saying, hey, we want to dial up some runs for him. We don't want to take away his creativity, as a runner, when the pocket breaks down and when he extends the play. But at the same time, I think when you look at some of these rushing quarterbacks over the last 5 or 10 years that have consistently ran the ball as much as Fields has, it's not very sustainable long term. So I think they just have to get it a little bit more controlled and obviously not take away the creativity. But I think there is a balance, right, where I don't think you want him rushing for 1,000 yards again. I don't think you want him anywhere near 1,000 yards. I think somewhere in the 700, 750 range makes sense, especially with the way he's able to improvise. But I think that, look at his first 2 years in the league. I mean, there have been times both years. I mean, he hasn't played a full 17 games or 16 games the year prior. He's missed times with injuries, and I think that obviously they haven't been big injuries, but I think that's one of the things that they've really got to, kind of hone in on is figuring out what's too much, what isn't enough. Like you pointed out with the run game, I mean, yeah, they averaged almost 178 yards rushing last year, but I think if you take out Justin Fields' totals from last year, they didn't have a very good rushing attack, which is why I think they completely went in and redid the running back room.
Aaron, one of my fears is that, I have maybe a couple, because this is still a team that projected win total 7.5, and it may be still a year away from really popping the way I think a lot of Bears fans are excited that they could. But I wonder the way that Fields has played, just the environment around him with an offensive line that I think took, 55 sacks last year. It's essentially he's been asked to – he gets dropped on an interstate and dodge traffic and really just make sure you don't get killed, which to his credit, analogy. He hasn't. But then a lot of times then the play breaks down, he runs. I wonder if that sense is still in him to, instead of sitting back and reading the field, he'll be looking to escape a little too early. What do you make of that? And do you think this is a two-parter, do you think it will improve in terms of the offensive line, giving him the time to throw this year?
Well, yeah, I think that's one of the big concerns, right? Where that's where it needs to be a little bit more controlled, and the fact that you don't want to take away his instincts, but at the same time, like you want him hanging back in the pocket. I think that's kind of a two-pronged thing, right? Because I think you're looking at one, the offensive line, which here's what I'll say about the offensive line. I think as the season goes on, it will be vastly improved. I do think that there are going to be some speed bumps out of the gate, which will make things a little interesting. But I think the second thing, and one of the things that the Bears have been very, I would say it's been something that they've worked on a lot with the offense, is short, quick timing throws. And I think that is going to be a big thing for Fields this year, right? Because this offense is timing-based. And I think being able to get Chase Claypool out over the middle of the field, having a guy like DJ Moore who can consistently get open, and obviously you got Darnell Mooney as your deep guy. I think that having the right personnel and being able to run the offense that Luke Getsy actually wants to run is going to be huge for getting Justin Fields comfortable and making him realize that you don't have to do a 3 or 5 step drop and immediately panic and run for your life. There's going to be a structure to this offense. There's going to be more attacking over the middle of the field. There's going to be more checkdowns to the running back. And I think that's also something they've been working with him as well, too, when you look at just the overall check down. I mean, he's not a quarterback that checks down very often. He can go back over the last 2 years and really look at some of the plays that he's made and the fact that there were times when receivers were NFL open and he simply didn't trust it. So I think it's just it's a conglomeration of different things, but I think obviously the offensive line is big, and I think also getting everything in terms of being a timing offense and getting things going over the middle of the field, the short and intermediate stuff, I think is where it's going to make or break whether or not Fields is going to be able to basically break the bad habit of just simply, letting the play break down, not getting rid of the ball, and then having to improvise for himself sometimes.
Aaron Leming does a great job covering the Bears for the Bear Report. You can follow him on Twitter at Aaron Leming NFL. If you don't, just know that Dick Butkus does, and that you should also do the same. Aaron, I want to ask you, you mentioned earlier, a few minutes ago, talking about the comparisons, which are, as a Bears fan, I find myself getting in that as well. As like, oh, we'd love to see Justin Fields become Jalen Hurts, follow that path, which understandably in terms of his athleticism and maybe the trajectory can be something that he lives up to, or Josh Allen is a high bar one as well. And a big thing, turning point wise for those guys, you get Allen, you provide him with Stephon Diggs. You get Jalen Hurts and you provide him with A.J. Brown to go along with Devontae Smith. DJ Moore, what's the difference in terms of caliber of DJ Moore versus those guys? I don't think that he's maybe at that level, but maybe a rung below. And then how do you think the Bears will go about utilizing him in this offense?
Well, I think as far as DJ Moore goes, I think for one, I think you're right. I mean, when you're talking like A.J. Brown and those guys, he's probably a rung below that, and that's fine. I mean, I think when you're talking about, kind of turn into a fantasy term, but when you're talking about like receiver one, right, when you're talking about your top receiver on your team, there are multiple levels to that, as we know. I mean, there are guys like Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, who completely break the game and control the game. And then you have guys like A.J. Brown that come in and that are very good receivers that maybe aren't quite to that level. And then I think a rung below that is where you have DJ Moore, where it's like, okay, maybe he's not the most physically imposing guy. He's not the most dominant player on the field at all times. But he's also somebody that I think for the Bears especially fits exactly what the Bears needed, right? He's the guy that can get open, and I think that was a big, big question mark, even last season where it was like Darnell Mooney was being relied upon so much more, and simply put, I mean, he couldn't produce at the level that they were hoping he was going to be able to. And I think with adding DJ Moore, you knock everybody down a peg, and I think it's perfect because all of a sudden you have Chase Claypool or Darnell Mooney, whatever, is your 2 and 3. In one way or order there. So I think that's kind of where that all kind of plays in. I think Moore is going to be huge for this offense because, one, I mean, like I said, he can get open. He's a great route runner. But I think, two, he's also somebody who can be a deep threat as well. So I think when you're just kind of looking at the overall offense and how much that one addition changes the receivers and the pass catchers, I think it's huge, and I think it's huge for the fit of the offense. The fact, like I said, I mean, the biggest thing is he can get open.
Aaron Leming, our guest, Tapman's Towing phone line, another guy that can get open. Last 2 years, 110 catches, 9 total touchdowns in his NFL career, and just built for the Bears. He was born in Chicago or near Chicago, went to Notre Dame. That's Cole Kmet I'm talking about, tight end. The tight end, Aaron, has become such a big thing in the NFL, and if you have that guy, right, like a Travis Kelce, then you have such a weapon that nobody else has. And I'm not obviously putting Cole Kmet anywhere near Travis Kelce, but in terms of him, he came down a little bit last year in catches, but up in touchdowns. What do you think about him, and how does he fit with this offense and Fields in general?
Well, I think, with Kmet, really what they've done with this entire tight end room, this offseason has been very interesting because, to me, I think it signals, one, obviously you go out and you extend a guy like Cole Kmet. I think it's, obviously a culture setter type of situation. And also, I would say this, he's a good, not great tight end. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but, again, his NFL comp coming out of college was, a guy that also went to Notre Dame and Kyle Rudolph. And I think that he's absolutely following that. And here's the reality. There are, 2, maybe 3 elite tight ends in the NFL, and really there's only, there's one that's like, all above rest, Travis Kelce. So I think when you're looking at a guy like Kmet, I think the big thing for him is obviously he's going to be that safety valve, but also he needs to be better in the red zone. I think that's kind of the big thing. You noted all those touchdowns last year. A lot of those were in broken down coverage. Not many of those were actually in the red zone. So I think, at least for me, that's something I'm looking for. But again, when you look at how they built out this tight end room, you bring in a guy like Robert Tonyan, who is basically going to be the move tight end, which is going to put, Cole Kmet more as kind of the Y, kind of the inline blocker, which I think is going to be better for his skill set. And then again, you bring in a guy like Marcedes Lewis, who, even at 39 years old, is a really good blocker. So it's going to allow them to run a lot more 12 personnel. And again, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's like Luke Getsy finally has the pieces for his offense.
Yeah.
Maybe not as elite as what some people, were hoping or whatever it may be, but just having the fit in order to be able to run the offense, I think is going to be huge. And I think the tight ends are going to be very involved.
Aaron, one more quickly, offensively speaking. I have seen, we talked about it in the first segment, I've seen quite a bit on social media, which you do got to take with a grain of salt, because I've joked that you could find a positive tweet or training camp report about maybe every player in the NFL. Chase Claypool is one of those guys that's getting it so far in recent weeks, but I have read some stuff from reporters that are actually there every day that, hey, this has been one of the bright spots of the Bears camp so far. What is your level of trust or just genuine interest in him making that step? Because last year, once he came over to the Bears, he was largely invisible in that offense.
Yeah, well, and I think, and I think that kind of goes back to the DJ Morton, right? Because now you're not relying on, 2 guys that should be number 2 and number 3 in your offense in terms of receivers. You're not relying on them to be that number 1 guy anymore. And I think that's a big thing. A lot of the highlights and a lot of the, the big moments that have happened in camp so far, with reports, have been him over the middle of the field. And I think that that's a big thing where you can move him into the slot, you can move him out wide. I will say, here's what I will say is I think that Chase Claypool has all the talent in the world. I think a lot of people forget how athletic he was in terms of how he tested coming out of Notre Dame. He was a freak, but I think you look at those first 2 years and he produced a lot in Pittsburgh, and the last 2 have been, somewhat questionable. My bigger concern with him is he's going into a contract year, right? Like, we've already seen what Darnell Mooney can do. We already know what Darnell Mooney is. Even if he doesn't get any better than what he is, he's a great number 2 receiver. My concern with Chase Claypool is he has one big year. Is he going to be able to replicate that again? And I think that that's going to be something that, when you're talking about receiver extension in the future of this team, that's going to be something that the Bears are going to have to weigh quite a bit.
I know I just spent the first 7 or 8 questions on offense, and
that's what we do, though.
It's kind of like if you give the Bears fan an offense, like if you give a mouse a cookie, that's the old reference there. What I wanted to get you on late last week for was the signing of a pass rusher, which the Bears have sorely needed, and that's Yannick Ngakoue from the Colts, who last year I think he had 9 sacks, and he's been someone that's been in the double digits as far as sacks go. How big of that was that signing for the Bears? Again, it seemed like that's up front in particular, maybe across the board, the front 4 and whatnot. But pass rush was really something on their roster. Of course, you get rid of Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. that they really needed. How much is that satisfying that need, and what can Bears fans expect out of him?
I think it's huge. I mean, that was, I don't know if I'd say it's the missing piece, because, I mean, obviously they're still in the midst of a rebuild. This is still a young roster. Very, very improved roster from last year. But, I mean, man, they needed one of those true pass rushers, and I think that's exactly what you're going to get in a guy like Ngakoue. You know, he's definitely more of a speed guy. Definitely has some deficiencies against the run, regardless of what the coaching staff wants to say. I mean, they say go and watch the tape. Well, you can watch the tape. He struggles against the run. That's fine. He's a pass rusher. It is what it is. I mean, the reason that you have rotational guys, and the reason that Matt Eberflus has basically, if you go back and you look at his defenses over the last 5 years, he usually has two guys that take over 70% of the snaps. Now, Ngakoue maybe more in the 55 to 60. That's fine. A lot of the defensive ends will be the same way. Same thing with defensive tackles. But, man, just getting that pass rushing presence, I think, is going to be huge. It's really hard to be worse than they were last year, although I was a little concerned before they made that move. Because you look at it, it's like, where are the sacks going to come from? I mean, when your leading sack guy is a linebacker to safety from last year, they need help. So I think Ngakoue makes a ton of sense. I think the other thing that's interesting is that they had a chance to go out and sign a guy like Justin Houston for, $6-7 million. I mean, they're both one-year deals. I think what this says is if Ngakoue works out and he's a culture fit, I mean, this is somebody that they could easily re-sign next year. They're going to have a lot of money again.
Aaron, I really like the talent level of the secondary. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker. You look at especially Gordon and Brisker, high draft picks that the Bears spent on the previous draft. So they were rookies last year, and I liked some of the flashes that I saw from both those guys. Eddie Jackson's been a lightning rod for criticism in recent years, but I thought he had an improved season last year. Just watching those games, I thought he was a little bit more physical than we had gotten used to. What do you think of that group on the back end, and maybe how do they fare in contrast or just stacking up? I don't want to make you say, well, they're a top 5 unit in the league or anything, but are they an average back end? Are they above average? What do you think about that group?
Well, I think at least, I think on paper you probably have to rate them as average, right? But I think there's a lot of upside with that group. I mean, you're talking about Eddie Jackson's awesome last year. I mean, obviously before he got hurt, he was awesome. He looked like the Eddie Jackson of old. Obviously didn't have quite as many takeaways or, pick sixes as before, touchdowns. But, I mean, he was back. And I think, Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon are the two guys that they took in the second round last year, going in the second year. I think they're both going to have big years. And then, Jalen Johnson's a really good player. And then they got two rookies battling out right now for that other boundary corner spot. I mean, this is probably the highest upside group we've seen since probably year 2 or 3 of Vic Fangio. I mean, this is a group that should be vastly improved. And like I said, on paper right now, you probably, grade them out as an average unit. But I think at the end of the year, it honestly wouldn't shock me at all if we're talking about this group as like a top 10 group overall. I mean, there's a lot of guys that can actually play the ball and cause turnovers, and I think that's going to be a big thing for them.
All right, last one for you, Aaron.
Hey, I'm here. I'm listening.
I could have let you ask.
No. I don't have any. This is perfect.
What's your thoughts on Kyler? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Let's not go in that direction. Another quarterback, though, I do want to ask about, not in a Bears uniform, Jordan Love. What do you think about
call.
Jordan Love, the Packers? Some people still, whether it's just every year, pencil the Packers in to win the North. They didn't last year. That was the Vikings. But what do you think of him going into this year, and what are kind of your expectations up there in Green Bay?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't want to say – here's the thing, man. I don't want to say anything too negative. Because we've seen how this goes so many times before. Here's what I will say. Aaron Rodgers is no longer at quarterback. The chances that they're going to have 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks back-to-back is very unlikely. It's going to be interesting, though. I think if you're looking at it from a Bears fan's perspective, right, I don't know that you want Jordan Love to be absolutely awful this year, right? I think you want him to be just good enough for the Packers to be like, hey, we want to give this guy another shot. Just painstakingly average or slightly below average like the Bears have been dealing with for God knows how long now, right? Because you don't want the Packers to be awful, get one of the top 2 quarterbacks in this next draft class and then relive the same thing over and over and over. I think it's tough. I wasn't a big fan of Jordan Love coming out of Utah State. I'm still not, but at the same time, I do feel like he's been a little unfairly judged considering, I mean, he's taken, less than 200 snaps total in the NFL. But I don't know, man. This definitely feels like the kind of a turning point, and Green Bay's due for some bad luck at the quarterback position. I mean, Bears fans know how much how much of a struggle it is, finding that quarterback, and it feels like this may be kind of the end of the road for Green Bay, and it may be a little bit of an exploratory process for them.
Even I am ready for that. As someone that doesn't have, a dog in the fight, I'm even ready for Green Bay to be just normal for a few years and have that fan base understand what it's like to be all of us. So I am fine with that. I don't mean to be mean like that, but it's time. It's time for them to experience it. Aaron Leming, it's always great to catch up, buddy. Tapman's Towing phone line. Aaron Leming, the Bear Report. He is who you need to follow on Twitter. And
Aaron Leming, NFL.
Boom. Aaron Leming, NFL. Aaron, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for always answering the bell.
Absolutely. Again, thanks for having me on, and hopefully we'll be talking again relatively soon.
We will, I promise you. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks,
Good
Aaron.
stuff, man. Not only is he willing to come on and talk about the Bears, who I think are – I'm wondering if that's one of your intriguing teams coming up.
That would feel like a homer pick, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would feel. But
maybe I did it.
They're intriguing to me. But not only that, but, Aaron's so good at what he does, so he's not only able to join us a lot, but he's really good, and he's got knowledge of it. And if you're a Bears fan and you're not following him on Twitter, you're missing a lot of stuff, because I follow him, and he tweets out stuff from other reporters of other teams, so I learn a lot about the NFL just from following Aaron. So you definitely need to do that. 1M.
1M.
So don't get
right.
confused by that. It's Aaron Leming with 1M NFL. Aaron Leming NFL.
Think about this real quick before we catch a break.
Okay.
So all of this is happening at the same time. Wisconsin basketball.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, when I started talking about that.
NIT missed the tournament. Wisconsin football.
Yep.
Had a rough year last year. Fired Paul Chryst midseason. Still went to a bowl game.
Yeah.
But then again, won't spend too much time on that. You have Milwaukee Bucks, still a pretty darn good franchise, although they lost first round.
Out early, right? Yep.
A series where they were highly favored against the Heat, lost that one. What if now it's the domino effect here and Green Bay is also going to fall?
It is amazing. Can I look at it the other way real quick? It is amazing how fortunate Wisconsin people are.
Incredible.
In that, I don't want to say little state. It's not a little state, but where they're at, positioned in the United States, for that spot to have so much go right, it is amazing. And even the Brewers have been halfway.
It's true.
Contenders, essentially.
Still in first place as of now.
Yeah. It amazes me. It amazes me how much success that essentially for so many years they've had it, all five of those that we just – I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the Bucks weren't that great for a while, then they won a title, and they have Giannis. The Brewers, have they ever won a World Series?
I don't know.
I don't know that
Robin Yount in the gang back in the 80s?
Well, did the Cardinals lose to them one time, or was that Kansas? That was Kansas City
they
on
beat
the
them.
They did beat them. I don't think Milwaukee's ever won.
They do not have a world championship.
Okay. So you got that. But, yeah, like you said, I mean, the run that Wisconsin basketball had for so long, and then the steadiness of Wisconsin football being one of the best, not only in the Big Ten but nationally, is incredible. And then what you've had with the Green Bay Packers, even back to Bart Starr. I mean, that being born in Wisconsin, you are blessed. So for you to kind of – I had to turn that back around just to remember all the insane success they've had.
Oof.
If you were 60 years old and you never left Wisconsin, you've had one hell of a life in athletics. It's amazing. Now, it's crazy.
Especially you look at someone my age, someone that's like 30 or in that range that didn't know the dark days of Wisconsin football.
Right? Yeah.
But you'd miss out on Bart Starr. But
believe it or not, Wisconsin football and basketball used to be terrible for a while, and then they really turned that around. So, but kudos to them as well.
Of course.
Kudos to them. They made good decisions on coaches. They've been lucky with quarterbacks. Giannis was a great job. I mean, that was Pretty nice to draft that guy, too. So, all right, let's talk some Illinois football, the wide receiver room, and I'll ask you out there, what are your thoughts on this wide receiver room? Yes or no? Are you high on it or not? And Pipes has 5 intriguing teams for this NFL season. All of that next. It is The Drive.
Join the Champaign Parks Foundation for a fun evening of food, socializing, and entertainment at the iHotel and Conference Center with Champaign Park District Youth Scholarship Fund to benefit from the new Ties and Tennies Gala. It's coming up on Thursday, September 14th, and you'll enjoy dueling pianos, a plated dinner, complimentary wine and beer, live and silent auction, and featured speaker Team USA Paralympian sitting volleyball player Nicole Millage. Learn more details. Visit champaignparks.org.
Let Max Twin City Recycling pay you for your junk metal items. As the weather begins to heat up, now is a great time to put cash in your pocket for the steel, copper, brass, and aluminum items you've been meaning to get rid of. We've recently added a large concrete pad to make unloading quicker and cleaner for our customers. Visit us on North Lincoln Avenue, just north of I-74, or at maxrecycling.com.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
You're listening to WSJK, ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign,
Denison, Fox
Your
News.
home for the
President
St. Louis
Biden today in
Cardinals.
Arizona establishing a new national monument near the Grand Canyon.
The Baj Nuwavjo Ita Kukveni Grand Canyon National Monument encompasses nearly 1 million acres of land, President Biden says, that is sacred to indigenous and Native American tribes.
Central to the creation stories of so many tribal people and so many tribal nations.
The land also supports rare ecosystems. The president has made national monuments part of a broader agenda, he says, to learn all of America's past at a time he warns some are trying to bury history.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Police in Montgomery, Alabama have issued arrest warrants for 3 suspects following a weekend riverfront brawl. It appeared to start after a crew member from a city-operated boat tried to move a pontoon boat that was blocking the dock.
We want to thank the public and the media for supplying the much-needed evidence and video surveillance that we've received and that helped us to determine the facts as they happen.
Montgomery Police Chief Daryl Albert says they've detained or interviewed at least 13 people and are asking the public for additional video. Ukraine's accusing the Kremlin of targeting rescue crews in an attack in a region Russia has taken partial control of.
A hotel, a restaurant, apartment buildings were hit. Then, to add to the deadly chaos, about 45 minutes later, when rescue teams were all over the scene, a so-called double tap, another missile was fired. You're right, at least 7 people killed, over 80 injured, including civilians, children, first responders.
Fox's Greg Palcott in Kyiv. The Supreme Court reinstates a regulation aimed at reining in firearms without serial numbers, so-called ghost guns. The court today voting 5-4 to put on hold a ruling from a federal judge in Texas that invalidated the Biden administration's regulation of ghost gun kits. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Jesse Kelly. When a restaurant closes, my reaction is, that sucks. They had good steak. When regional banks close, or 3 of them close overnight, it freaks me out. This is why I have my own personal gold reserve. It's part of my personal protection plan. Call my friends at Oxford Gold Group. Call 833-404-GOLD. 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Hey, you're up next. My throat hurts so bad. There's no way I can sing tonight.
Here, try these.
Vicks VapoCool Drops.
Yeah, Vicks VapoCool Drops has maximum strength menthol with a rush of Vicks Vapors.
Ooh, I can already feel it.
I told you. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Vaporize sore throat pain fast with Vicks VapoCool Drops.
Investigators are learning more about what caused an Australian helicopter to crash during a military exercise with the U.S.
4 crew members died when the helicopter crashed during a nighttime operation off the northeast Australian coast. Now the flight data and cockpit voice recorders have been recovered. Human remains were spotted in the wreckage last week, but bad weather and strong currents have made them too dangerous to retrieve. The helicopter had been part of Talisman Sabre, a joint military exercise Australia and the United States carry out every 2 years. This year, 13 countries and more than 33,000 personnel took part. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
Thousands of Los Angeles City employees, including sanitation workers, engineers, and traffic officers, walked off the job for a 24-hour strike, alleging unfair labor practices. SEIU Local 721 said more than 11,000 workers took part. Ohio voters today will decide on a ballot issue linked to the state's constitution.
Simply put, Issue 1 will decide if it becomes more difficult to amend the Ohio Constitution. Right now, a simple majority of half the state can make the change. Issue 1 bumps that to 60% of the entire state. Ohio's Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose backs it, saying, if your idea isn't popular,
then maybe you should not consider bringing it to the ballot.
Democrats imply the move could stop issues such as abortion rights from being codified. Party Chair Liz Walters adds other potential impacts.
On everything including voting rights, civil rights, union rights in Ohio.
And that just 40% of Ohioans can block any issue the majority supports. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Another day of declines on Wall Street as investors show caution over the banking industry and weigh new reports on China's lagging export business. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for East Central Illinois, Champaign-Urbana vicinity. By and large, pretty quiet and eventful spell and typical early August temperature and humidity levels anticipated. Be still a series of frontal boundaries on the move. And, of course, where there's been excess rainfall, just the slightest amount of garden variety amounts, which we'll see back in here tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, may again push things into standing water mode if they're not there already in some areas to the north and still south and southwest of Champaign County in particular coming off the weekend rainfall. A little patchy fog around this morning. Temperatures in check. Humidity levels as well. 82. May still bubble up a stray shower thunderstorm late this afternoon. And this evening, low down to 61 as skies turn fair. Tomorrow, increasing clouds. A little more significant wet weather system comes our way in the afternoon and the first part of tomorrow night. Highs near 80. Lows tomorrow night at 65. Sunshine at 83 on Thursday. Still a lingering shower chance Friday into Saturday. Highs up near 85 on Friday. Low to mid 80s Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. For CVJ Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solgay.
Ancient.
It's showtime.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Pipes is writing down a lot of stuff. I'm just going to go from the gut. And joining us now, Coach Bielma.
Josh Whitman joining us now.
You get to say all the cool name drops.
Do it.
Brad Underwood, our guest.
College hoops.
How do you lose to Jackson State?
Call up every single person in the media that didn't put Kofi first team All-American. And I don't know, just play like clown noises.
I want to bet the Bears.
Oh, Michael Porter Jr. has been good, but he thinks the earth is flat, so I can't pick him.
Oh, boy.
Throw it up to Kofi, and he's just going to tear the rim off.
How is he so good? All right, Hans, I'm going to mute you for a while.
Okay.
Oh, there's a timeout on the court!
So what we want to do is build a same-game parlay that will win all of us some money.
Maybe Rondale Moore could be Cooper Kupp, but he's not. Is it Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that what IG means?
I think you have to win the Big Ten title to win Big Ten Player of the Year.
Woohoo!
Wow, what a bad take.
You heard Hans's voice. You heard his voice. Even though it's simple. No. All right, it is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5. The Drive with Tay and Piper. I'm Lon Tay, Derek Piper to the left. When I said ancient, I hope Greg Soye understands I was not talking about him. I was talking about the intro. We're still looking for that new intro. Kyle's working on one, so hopefully we'll have one soon and get that ready to roll. We've got something. Now, just hang with me. It's only 30 seconds, but I'm going to play a spot of one of our advertisers, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up for Illinois football season and for Derek Piper and I and The Drive on the road.
Experience food, drinks, and fun at the grand reopening of Champaign's favorite sports bar, Pia's. Whether you're up for their famous Slugger Burger, never-ending nachos, having a drink with your friends, or watching your favorite sports team, Pia's has you covered. After the forced renovation undergone on the local pub, it's the perfect time to celebrate a return to normal and bring the community together. Don't miss the grand reopening at Pia's, 1609 West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
There you go. Thank you, Reese, telling us about Pia's grand reopening. And, of course, we will be doing remotes, 4 in total, this football season, including September 1st. That is the Toledo game, of course, the next day. The 83 reunion squad in town, so hopefully we'll be able to knock down a couple of interviews with those guys. And then on September 22nd, that's the Florida Atlantic game, so we'll have a Pia's show on Friday. Keep in mind, Friday for the show. October 20th, that is homecoming, right before Wisconsin on Saturday. And then November 10th, that is Dad's Day against Indiana. So 4 remotes coming up this football season at Pia's. We're excited about that. September 1st, September 22nd, October 20th, and, of course, November 10th. There's some home games in November, and Pipes, that gets chilly.
It does, yeah.
But you know what? We, as the fans, we have to
football
suck
weather.
it up, too. Right, it's football weather. All right.
Don't ever put Memorial Stadium under a bubble dome. Let's never enclose that.
Yeah, we did have a bubble one time. Remember? We had a bubble that
as the practice
facility,
the
quote
unquote
practice bubble. That was kind of a big deal back then. And then now you look at it and just kind of laugh. But hey, you want to rebuttal from the U of I Atlanta Lake text line?
Yeah. Daryl on the U of I Atlanta Lake text line said, "Tell Piper to keep dreaming. The Packers are done. Spoiled ? All those teams were bad for years." He also adds, "Fields hasn't proven anything yet." Mm-hmm. I will say I probably am dreaming to say the Packers are done.
Yeah.
I was trying to find correlation in there. Wisconsin basketball and football both taking some dips, although I think Luke Fickell's going to do an awesome job in Madison.
Too.
I wouldn't expect the Badgers to be down for long, if at all.
Yep.
They're a lot of people picking them to win the Big Ten West. Wisconsin basketball, I think there's a ceiling with Greg Gard.
I agree.
And last year was disappointing for them.
Yep.
We talked about the Brewers. The Bucks, I mean, they're not going anywhere with Giannis.
No, they're not.
But in terms of the Packers, I hope they just find out what it's like to not have a Hall of Fame quarterback. On the note of spoiled, I said really especially when you look at my lifetime, I've grown up throughout this. I was born in 1990, so 30 years and some change. Wisconsin fans have been pretty spoiled.
Oh.
Like you look at this. Okay, so I did some brief research
boy.
here during the break. And I could do a lot off of the top of my head. Like, let's just say, for starters, like Bo Ryan not only never missed a tournament, he went to the Final Four twice, back-to-back years.
Yep.
And he seemingly, and essentially maybe all but one or two, finished top 5 in the Big Ten every year.
They never finished below 4th forever, right?
Yes. Yep.
Did they play in a championship game, a national title game?
They did.
Okay, I remember. All right, so
Who
there
did
you
they
go.
lose to?
Was it Kansas?
They beat Kentucky, and I think they lost to Duke.
Duke, okay. Gotcha. Just throw out one of those teams. Yeah.
So remember the stretch everybody does around here when Illinois missed 6 tourneys in a row?
Oh, yeah.
John Gross, Enda Brown, Underwood. You know how many tourneys Wisconsin has missed since 1993? 6.
1. Oh, okay.
So you're talking about a long stretch where Illinois missed all those in a row, and they've missed more than that in this window. But Wisconsin in general, including one of last year, and Greg Gard's been responsible for a couple of these, they've rarely ever missed the tournament.
Didn't Illinois lose to Wisconsin like 15 straight times?
They did. Here's going to be even more of a jarring contrast. Since 93, Wisconsin football, we all know what Barry Alvarez did there. Then you pass it to Bielema and on down the line. There have been a little bit of some stretches where the fan base wasn't as pleased. Like when they had, what was it, Gary Anderson? They brought him in.
They did,
He wasn't very good.
Oh, I forgot about
the
that.
end of Paul Christ.
Right.
But from 93 on, I was 3 years old then, and then about to be 33. Wisconsin has been to, and I think this is probably the most in the Big Ten, 7 Rose Bowls.
Gee, money.
Do you know how many bowl game period that Illinois has been to from 93 on? Bowl games.
6.
9.
Have they been to 9?
They've been to 9.
How many Rose Bowls total has Illinois been in?
I mean, 1 in my lifetime.
There was 1 in 83.
There's 1 in 83.
2 in
There was 1 in 63, which I remember well. There was
won.
1 in 51. There was 1 in 46.
Okay, so there's 5.
And that's it.
So Wisconsin has been since 1993 in more Rose Bowls than Illinois in the history of their program.
Has ever been. Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. And then here's one more stat for you. Well, I got a couple more. But,
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Packers, on that note, I don't want to bore people with this.
No.
And look, it's all good fun. And we'll see if Fields lives up to the hype this year. And if the Packers do take the step back, we'll find out week 1. We'll have plenty to talk about.
You're making me want to hate the Packers just even more.
When those two meet up. You're going to be, what do you call it, triggered with this one?
Okay.
All right, the Packers since 93, they've made the playoffs 22 of 30
Good
years.
Lord.
My Bears and Lon's Arizona Cardinals have combined to make the playoffs 13 of those 30 years.
That's
the Bears 7, the Cardinals 6. The Packers 22.
22.
And oh, by the way, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers combined to win 7 MVPs.
Oh, my
both Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Lord. Remember the days that Don, was it Majeski or whatever his name was, the quarterback for the Packers that just stunk? You don't. That's the point.
Right. Right. So there you have it.
That's unbelievable.
In my viewpoint, if you live in Wisconsin or you're just a fan of Wisconsin sports, you've been spoiled in comparison to what I've
you've done pretty well
experienced.
When did Favre start? And then Rodgers, this will be his first year without.
Correct.
So Rodgers went to 2022. When did Brett Favre?
Would have been like 92 or 93.
Is that right?
Brett Favre, 1992.
That's ridiculous. So since I've been out of college, they've had 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, pretty much.
Since I've been out of college, they've had
nuts?
2 quarterbacks. And I'm 52, drink. That is unbelievable. Derek, that just blew my mind. Think about how many quarterbacks the Bears and the Cardinals have had in the last just decade.
I mean, I could tell you in a given year they've probably had 4 or 5.
Oh, my goodness. Since I was 21 years old, the Packers have had 2 quarterbacks.
Essentially, yes.
That doesn't seem possible.
It's not fair. I know that.
Wow, man, did that. Woof. Okay.
So there you have it.
Thanks for bringing that up, man. Not only are you making
so
me
now
feel
I've
old,
given you a rooting interest.
You have, totally.
For why the Packers should be bad this year.
Okay. Well, I'm all about it then. We're going to be hearing that soon.
Can't wait.
On a cold, crisp fall day, the leaves need raked. There's a touch of snow in the air. Lon's listening to Christmas carols. I don't know if I'm listening to carols. I'm listening to music. Derek Piper brought to the table today his 5 most intriguing teams for the NFL this season. And I'm anxious to see.
I could use some help along the way. And I'm wondering what your perspective is on that.
I'm anxious to see if the Bears are on this intriguing list. I think they're not, just because I think their ceiling isn't high enough for this list. And that's before I even know what this list is, basically based on. Mm-hmm. But I know one of your teams that you mentioned earlier from that same division tells me that maybe the way this might go. So, I've got 2 off the top of my head that would probably be on your list.
Okay.
One would be the team on your list, I know, and that's Detroit.
Correct.
And the other one, and it's not, they had such a good season last year, but now they've added another weapon, and that's Jacksonville.
I have Jacksonville on there as well.
Okay.
Yes.
So I will shut up and listen.
All right. So I mentioned it earlier. What really kickstarted this exercise was the Jets being on Hard Knocks tonight, which I'm very excited to check out, and we can talk about it a little bit tomorrow. I know you're not going to get a chance to see it, but I can fill you in if you're missing anything. If not, yeah.
The good news for me is one of these years, I'll be able to watch all of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just retire and watch every Hard Knocks, and after everybody's watched them 20 years ago. And it'll be cool to me. I'll be like, oh, my God, I forgot about that dude.
No doubt.
Hey, when I start watching Hard Knocks, you'll start watching Band of Brothers.
Okay.
And we'll call it even. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So you have Aaron Rodgers.
So I feel like I need to add. Here we go. Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, off of a down year last year, playing with a very unproven young receiving core, now going to the Jets, following in Brett Favre's footsteps. So weird how the parallels between those guys.
It's crazy.
It's a little eerie.
Again, he just needs to keep his camera tilted up.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers does. There's one more thing that could parallel you.
It was in New York.
Don't do that.
At least that's where he got caught doing it. But Garrett Wilson is an extremely talented receiver.
Yes.
They brought over Alan Lazard as well. Breece Hall, a talented running back.
Isn't Randall Cobb there too?
Cobb's there. I don't.
How
really
old is he? It doesn't matter. Go.
Late 30s.
Okay. It seems like he's been around for 20 years.
Yeah. There's talk they could sign Dalvin Cook too.
Wow.
So I think that's one of the things when you're talking about intrigue for Hard Knocks. I think the dynamic of whether they will or whether they won't sign Dalvin Cook. If they do sign him mid-training camp, bring him in, that could be interesting television. On the defensive side, they're loaded as well.
Yes,
Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams as well. Just super high expectations for a franchise that has not been that relevant for a long time.
And I think Rodgers redoing his contract pretty much tells you that Dalvin Cook's going there, right?
Well, he wants to give them, he mentioned when he did it, trade deadline flexibility, but it could also be the ability to sign a running back like that who could come with a decent price tag. So
it's so weird how Dalvin Cook just got he's gone now out of Minnesota. He had a hell of a year last year. But that's just how running backs are treated now. It's weird.
And Packers fans have to, not to make this all like Packers-centric, but they have to be a little sour where Rodgers did a lot of complaining, and even the fan base of why not put more around Aaron in terms of like receivers.
Yeah.
Well, he takes the pay cut off of a $50 million per year contract. Why didn't you do that last year? We could have gotten you somebody else to go with those young receivers that we have.
Or kept Devontae Adams.
That too.
Boy, did they have a little bit of a connection.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I don't know that Rodgers trusted Green Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, how many drafts did they have to put stuff around him and never did? So maybe it came down to him saying, I don't trust you, so I'm not giving you this money. It is kind of a shot, though. I mean, let's be honest.
And now he's a very willing mentor, so to speak, of Zach Wilson, which it is a different situation where they drafted Love to be a replacement. Rodgers shows up, and he knows that Zach Wilson's no threat.
Right.
So there's a little bit different there. So I have the Jets at the top. I think they're the most intriguing team in the NFL. The Lions, to me, were second.
Okay.
Big expectations for them. First time in forever. I can't remember. Maybe there's a Matthew Stafford, Calvin Johnson season in there that would rival that. But it's a high-powered offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown is really talented. You get a full season of Jameson Williams, who they drafted high to be a dynamic receiver. And then speaking of drafted high, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, that's
and
right.
his sub-4.4 speed coming over to be in the running back room, and then also to play. They can play Montgomery and Gibbs at the same time, with Gibbs lining up as a receiver.
Wow.
But I did a little research. The Lions haven't won a playoff game. Can you guess? Since...
I'd say since Barry.
Correct.
So I don't know when those years.
1991.
91 they haven't won?
Won a playoff game since 91. I don't think they've been to one since 2011 or thereabouts.
Wow. My junior year of college, they won a playoff game. Wow.
I think in terms of like just intrigue, Dan Campbell's one of the most likable coaches out there. And I said it earlier. Can they go from being a fun team who were on Hard Knocks last year? A lot of people kind of got excited about them. Like, oh, well, they're fun TV, but then they'll play football games and they'll stink.
Exactly.
Can they go from a fun team to a good team?
And who's the pass rusher they have from Aiden, right?
Hutchinson.
He's a stud.
He is.
I'm telling you, that's going to be a good team. I forgot about the running back.
Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs.
I forgot about him.
To go with Montgomery,
and isn't it funny? All those
productive.
Listen, Calvin Johnson was ridiculous. Megatron was ridiculous, but they also had those years where they drafted high wide receivers. They never really panned out, and that St. Brown is really good. Man, Detroit's got a team.
They got an offense. I know that.
Good for Detroit.
Yeah.
Good for Detroit.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you have Aiden Hutchinson, man, ever since our guy came to Illinois, I have messed up that name. But if you have him, you're essentially
Oh, Grandison, Hutcherson.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're essentially, aiding everybody on the team with him on that. You're aiding the cornerbacks because he can get to the quarterback. Secondary quarterback. Why did we put cornerback and quarterback? They're too close. All right. No, I am totally with you on the top two, and that's how I would have listed them.
I'll use the other team that you mentioned because I think they could very well go third here is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. Another one of those fun team to good or really good team dynamics. Well, they made the playoffs last year, late push in the season, a weak division there, AFC South. Will Trevor Lawrence have the breakout, go into a full-fledged star mode this year? He was 15th in QBR last year. Is he a top 8, top 5 maybe this year? Potentially. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks out there.
Do you hear anything about him ever?
Not really.
It's almost like he came in with Urban, right?
Yes.
Oh.
I believe.
But he came in and he wasn't good, and then you thought to yourself, is he kind of the modern day NFL quarterback? You think of guys that can scramble like Josh Allen, like Kyler Murray.
He was the first pick.
He was. And Lamar and just everybody else that I'm forgetting. And then I looked at Trevor, and I'm like, I don't know if Lawrence is going to be that guy, but man, he showed some stuff last year, and now you're putting receivers galore with him.
On that note, Calvin Ridley,
that was
Mr.
the guy.
FanDuel himself, really boosting their odds to win that division, to go to the playoffs, and maybe a little bit further. But coming off that.
Etienne, right?
Yeah, Travis Etienne. They got a lot of talent around Lawrence. They built that offense up well. See how much better their defense could potentially be. But playoff team last year and would expect it to be again this year. Here's where there's some tough choices to make.
Okay.
I'm putting the Dolphins in there. And Kyle, this is not just for Kyle.
Right.
Now, some of their intrigue does get hampered a little bit because Jalen Ramsey's injury, and he'll be out until December. But that was a huge addition into their secondary.
Big.
I think Tua's comeback is something everybody is really intrigued to see. A guy that had multiple concussions, of course, the ugly scene on the field last year. Yeah. That was a high-powered offense with Tua slinging it around. He had a lot of skeptics early in his career because he didn't look like he could throw it that deep, that accurate downfield. But Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle exploded last year. What does Tua look like coming back? And just the Dolphins in a division where they're getting overshadowed a little bit by the Jets, the Bills.
Man, what a division.
Oh, man.
What a division. Those three teams that were dominated for years by the Patriots are all of a sudden now just scorched earth.
Crazy.
They've been risen from it's like, holy crap. That's going to be awesome. I still wonder about Tua's arm. I mean, you look at obviously Tyreek Hill, you get him anywhere. You get him the ball anywhere. But Tua threw a lot of deep balls to him last year.
He did.
And then who was the other one that I'm forgetting?
Jalen Waddle.
Waddle had so many catches from 5 to 8 yards out. Was that last year or 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago. And you wonder to yourself, all right, is it only because Tua can't throw that far, or is it because Waddle wants to live in that spot? But then last year he started going further downfield, and Tua was showing it. Who's their running back?
I know they have two. I think is it Raheem Mostert?
Oh, okay.
And one other guy. They've been also a rumored landing spot for Dalvin or another one of those running backs. There's Leonard Fournette. Kareem Hunt's off the board now, going to the Saints, but also Ezekiel Elliott's out there too.
Zeke.
But Dalvin is different from those guys in terms of being more so in his prime.
That's interesting. I'll say this. I don't know that I would have chosen Miami, but I haven't given this a lot of thought. But I like where you're going there.
There are a number of different other directions to go here.
What a division.
Yeah, it really is.
Now that you say that again, it's like, ew.
I think everybody's disgusted by Denver. Like having to watch Denver in primetime as many times last year as they did. And just, it was ugly football.
It was.
And Russell Wilson's turned a lot of people off, and they're included. But Sean Payton going there and whether or not Russell Wilson can bounce back, I think they're a candidate. I didn't put them in my list.
Okay.
They'd be like an honorable mention.
Yeah.
I think
I'm anxious to see what Payton can do with that.
Yeah. For sure.
I'm anxious to see what he can do.
Tampa Bay's got a little bit of an honorable mention to him, too. Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Still have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I think it could be a little bit of a sneaky team. If Baker's just decent, that team could be really good.
Yes. I'm intrigued a little bit by the Niners because who's their quarterback?
Probably Brock Purdy again.
Is he going to be healthy?
He's coming off an injury. I don't know how
Trey Lance
is
is still there.
He is. I saw something where reports are that Lance is probably behind Purdy if he's healthy and then Sam Darnold if he's not.
That would be the biggest call I've ever made in my life. When he joined the Niners, I'm like, I am not worried about Trey Lance. And you know what's weird is they traded 3 picks for him, and they haven't missed a beat.
You nailed it. That's true.
They have not missed a beat. They're constantly playing, constantly thought of as the team that could win a Super Bowl, or at least get to one. I don't think, in my mind, I don't ever see the Niners winning a Super Bowl because they just won't outscore. They can't keep up with these AFC teams. But that defense is unreal, and they gave away 3 picks. Kudos to them. Is that Lynch, John Lynch?
It is.
Wow, he's done a hell of a job.
I hope in hindsight they're cursing themselves for not taking Justin Fields. Jets fans were doing that last year. Now they got Aaron Rodgers to kind of divert their attention
off of it. Yeah,
but maybe the Niners will do that. All right, I'll give you my team.
Okay, give you your fifth.
It's the Ravens, and you get Lamar Jackson back healthy.
Yes.
He's already gotten paid, big contract. There was all of that drama around him last year because of that.
Yep.
They get a new offensive coordinator and Todd Monken from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Knows how to use a tight end. You got a pretty good one in Mark Andrews. And Odell is added to that mix in that receiver room. So now you're putting the best pass-catching weapons around Lamar maybe that he's had there.
I agree.
And defense should still be pretty good. I'm intrigued by what that looks like. Some may not be as intrigued by the Ravens, which I get. It's tough to fill out the end of this list. Anybody that I missed.
I like your picks. I know you'd say it was a homer, and I know it's
the Bears,
because it's close, but I truly am intrigued by that.
I'm super intrigued by them, yeah.
I mean, I want to see what Fields can do. I feel like their running game is going to be solid. They've added a little bit of help to that offensive line, although I saw a report that the second unit defensive line kind of really had their way with the offensive line. I was like, oh, well, that's not good.
That's not good.
I'm hoping whoever put that on Twitter has gone a 2-game suspension, right? Like the Orioles guy. That guy would be he'd be like on a 2-year suspension for saying that. But I don't know. Fields kept you in some games last year. And now you're better, plus he's going to be better. So what all does that mean? I think the intrigue for me is with the Bears. There's no doubt. I think they would be on my top 5. And I understand why you didn't do it, because you feel like it would be more of a homer thing.
Real quick.
The Giants?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I appreciate Randy for correcting me on Kareem Hunt. So Diana Rossini tweeted earlier that Kareem Hunt was going to sign with the Saints.
Oh, he was meeting with them, I know.
He's actually, in a turn of events, met also with the Indianapolis Colts, is now going to sign with the Colts.
Interesting. Okay. What has happened to Jonathan Taylor since we talked to Chris Widlick?
I don't think much. He's been at practice, but not in uniform, wearing his hoodie.
Interesting. And their backup last year just signed with the Cardinals.
Was that Nyheim Hines?
Not Hines. Marlon Mack.
Oh, Marlon Mack. Okay.
Which he didn't get much run, but okay.
So that's my list.
I can see Kareem Hunt helping Indianapolis.
Yes.
I think the Giants could be intriguing because they kind of took a step last year.
They did.
And then you got Saquon, who didn't get paid. He's in, so that'll be a story to watch. Who else is intriguing? Is there anybody in that AFC West? The Raiders,
I mentioned Denver has some intrigue, although, again, most people grossed out by them.
Or I said NFC West and then said Raiders. AFC West.
AFC West.
In the
Chargers always intrigue me because of Herbert, but they've kind of been the same who they are the last couple of years. Can they take the next step? We'll see.
Are you confident? Who's your quarterback that you got in the Brad Evans?
I got Justin Fields. I paid up a little bit too much, but I was determined to get him.
Well, I like that. I like that. All right, this is interesting. I can't wait for us. I want to do a show before NFL starts where Kyle throws the team out and we talk about just the fantasy impact of about 3 or 4 guys on that team and how we feel they're going to have that season. What kind of an impact are they going to have that season? It's going to be interesting. Man, why does it seem like every team has so many stock receivers?
It's the way of the NFL these days.
You know who, like 2 guys that kind of, who'd we just talk about that kind of had a down year? My goodness, we literally just
Denver?
No. The
Raiders?
I'm losing my mind. Anyway, Michael Pittman. He didn't do as much.
Oh, the Colts. Yeah.
He didn't do as much last year as I thought, but there was another guy we had mentioned that didn't do as much as I thought last year, and I'm intrigued to see if he will show up this year. So
we have 2, quickly before we catch a break, 2 submissions on the U of I Line text line. Darren says the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, they've just always been intriguing for a while, so it's like, I think I'm done being intrigued.
They're usually always a preseason hype team.
Right. No Zeke, though.
No Zeke. Tony Pollard.
Yeah. Coming off an injury.
They do get Brandon Cooks. It's a nice addition to their receiving core.
I mean, listen, they can score points.
And Maxwell says Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They've been knocking on the door of the Super Bowl for a few years now. And a lot of fans intrigued because they want to see
no doubt
Chase Brown. And
I'm not intrigued by the Bengals because I think they're going to be good.
You know what they're going to do.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not ripping on Maxwell, but I just feel like they're going to be really good. They're going to win that division, I feel like.
Yeah. They're one of the most entertaining watches in the NFL. But in terms of intriguing, they didn't make my list. I just know they're really good, like you said.
T. Martin and Jamar Chase.
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
Yep.
Those 2. Let's go. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got to wrap things up. So we'll save Illini wide receiver. No, that's fine, believe me. We'll save that for tomorrow, maybe. We'll talk a little bit of Illini wide receivers. In fact, I'll even have George McDonald on there and get his thoughts as the wide receiver coach. We'll come back, wrap it up, get you ready for Cardinals baseball. It is the Drive. Illini fans, take the opportunity to head down to Game Day Spirit's Green Street location this summer. Shop their awesome selection of Fighting Illini merchandise. While you're there, shop some of their awesome buy one, get one free t-shirt designs, as well as their Nike section and so much more. With new styles coming in daily, there's sure to be something for every Illini fan. Shop at the corner of Neal and Kirby in Champaign, 6th and Green in Campustown, and online 24/7 at GameDaySpirit.com. Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop.
By now, you've all heard the expression, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 for PDR Automotive. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR. But who are they? They, the PDR staff, understand that a name is only as good as the people that represent it. The PDR staff has more than 335 years of combined automotive experience, several employees now on staff for more than 25 years. PDR, more than just a name. Family owned and operated, now celebrating over 50 years in business.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business, as well as Central Illinois employees dedicated to providing you with professional installation and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project. Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights. We switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow right here in Champaign-Urbana can switch you over so you can start saving today. Kurt and his team are ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. It's easy to switch and save. Just give them a call when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Whether your regular beauty counter has disappeared or you want a beauty refresh, then it's time to visit Merle Norman. Beautiful changes happen every day at Merle Norman. Whether you have a special event coming up or you're just in the mood for something new, you can depend on Merle Norman Cosmetics to satisfy all your beauty needs. From advanced skincare solutions to the latest looks and color, we're locally owned and ready to help you with expert guidance and award-winning products. No wonder we've been the go-to brand for millions of women since 1931. Visit us today at 706 West Market View Drive over by Subway.
When Ross went out, I always told him, be careful. And that was the last time I got to see him.
Because someone didn't slow down and move over. Ross had on a bright orange shirt with reflective stripes the night he was killed.
He always had that smile. He just lit up the room when he came in.
Slow down and move over when you see flashing lights. Everybody is somebody.
When you see lights flashing, use caution passing. Let's all go home safe tonight.
Wouldn't it be nice to visit a car dealership where you didn't feel like you were at an auction? Or didn't feel like you were being taken to the cleaners?
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Welcome to Sarah Champagne. At Sarah, they offer a one-price promise. Every vehicle at a fair price, no negotiation, only the best price. Sarah Champagne, Honda, BMW, GMC, Buick, and Subaru. SERRA Champagne.com.
Ah, there's that song. Some days I'm like, all right, that's good, you know. I'm ready to go home and eat. I'm ready to go home and do something. Then there's other days where I'd rather sit here and keep talking.
I'm having fun talking football, man.
We are, man, and it's starting to. We've kind of gotten through summer. We took a week off, which was needed for both of us. Kyle's taking a month and a half off. You know, he's old. He's getting tired a lot. Oh wait, no, he's freaking 19. I know he's got to be with his parents.
And hopefully he makes his way to Wrigley one of these games.
Yeah, no doubt.
He said he was planning on it.
Okay, I hope he does too. I want to thank Aaron Lemming on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Good stuff from him there. We'll talk a little bit wide receivers tomorrow. We'll have some more stuff to chat about.
Sounds good.
Megan Montemurro from the Bears may be on, covering the Cubs, maybe on Thursday. She's got to let me know because that's an off day for them. All right, we're out of here. Cardinals baseball next. Enjoy. It's The Drive.
From the Shawnee Forest to the city of Champaign and beyond, our Health Alliance members come from all over Illinois and all walks of life. But they have one thing in common. They're part of a powerful alliance that puts community first. Because Illinois isn't just their home, it's ours too. For over 40 years, Health Alliance has been covering members like their family. With more in-network providers, more personalized help, and a service team that goes the extra mile. Visit healthalliance.org/together to learn more and enroll.
Experience food, drinks, and fun at the grand reopening of Champaign's favorite sports bar, Pia's. Whether you're up for their famous Slugger Burger, never-ending nachos, having a drink with your friends, or watching your favorite sports team, Pia's has you covered. After the forced renovation undergone on the local pub, it's the perfect time to celebrate a return to normal and bring the community together. Don't miss the grand reopening at Pia's, 1609 West Springfield Avenue in Champaign.
The Mahomet Music Festival, presented by Fisher National Bank, has been bringing this free, family-friendly event to Main Street in downtown Mahomet. Friday, August 25th, on the Darwin Boston State Farm stage for bands Zach Tompkins, Candy Foster and Shades of Blue, and Hairbangers Ball. On Saturday, August 26th, Christian band Sanctus Real will perform at 11 a.m. The headliner for this year's Mahomet Music Festival is Chris Jansen, who will perform on Saturday, August 26th at 9:30 p.m. Details at mahometmusicfestival.com. JetsFest.com.
Illini pizza fans at Jets Pizza, they know how to build the perfect pizza. Detroit style is one of them. Fresh made dough pressed into steel pans inspired by the Motor City. Topped with premium mozzarella, Mama Jet's secret sauce, fresh toppings, then baked to the thickest, crispiest, cheesy crunch. Jets is Detroit style pizza. Now build your perfect 3-topping large pizza for just $16.99. You pick your favorite 3 toppings and build the perfect Jets Pizza. A large 3-topping pizza, just $16.99. Online code TOP3. Jets Pizza. Better because it has to be.
PDR Automotive has now been serving the Champaign-Urbana area for over 50 years. To give you some perspective, 50 years ago ended the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, and it was when Secretariat won the Triple Crown. So what does that mean for you and your vehicle? Whether you need a carburetor overhauled or your new vehicle computer system diagnosed or programmed, PDR Automotive has the experienced, knowledgeable staff that can handle all your automotive needs. Online at PDRauto.com, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR. If you're looking for a pre-owned car, truck, or van, look no further than Sarah Champagne. You know them for their 5 incredible vehicle brands, the BMW, Honda, Subaru, Buick, and GMC. But did you know they also have over 100 used cars, trucks, and vans in stock right now? And at Sarah Champagne, they will take care of you. You can trust them. And prices begin at under $2,000. Stop by Sarah Champagne. They're at Burwash and Savoy, or go online, sarahchampagne.com. That's Sarah, S-E-R-R-A, champagne.com.
A tradition of excellence over 150 years in the making. At Busey Bank, we're committed to building relationships that span generations. Wherever your journey in life leads you, we are with you along the way, creating a legacy for you and your family. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
The Girl Scouts of Central Illinois are excited to host the premier event, Diamonds, Desserts, and Distinction, on Thursday, August 24th. The evening will feature Girl Scout cookie-inspired desserts, the recognition of area female first responders as the 2023 Women of Distinction, and more. Funds raised through the event will support local Girl Scout programs that teach essential life skills. Don't miss this special event on Thursday, August 24th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the City View Banquet and Meeting Center. Get tickets and find out more at getyourgirlpower.org.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday mornings 7 to 9 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
After an off day, the Cardinals are back at it this evening. They are opening up a road trip. It's going to start with a 3-game midweek series in Tampa as they match up against the Rays. Welcome into Ameren Total Access, the voice of the Cardinals. John Rooney, along with Ricky Horton, will have the call of the game this evening. We'll hear from Mike Claiborne in just a bit from Tampa. My name is Matt Pauley, coming your way from our St. Louis studios. Cardinals will play 5 games on the road. It's a 6-day, 5-game interleague road trip. They'll play first 3 games against the Rays, and then they'll play 2 games against Kansas City, a very rare Sunday day off coming up this weekend. Don't get many of those over the course of the season, but the Cardinals will have one coming up this Sunday. Cardinals have Miles Michaelis on the mound this evening, 6-7 with a 4.29 ERA. Coming off of suspension. He served his 5-game suspension after the situation that he had where he was suspended for hitting a batter with a pitch. And after he made the decision to drop the appeal, he sat through the 5 games, and now he is back pitching today. As far as his record goes, Michaelis comes in with a 6-7 record and a 4.29 ERA. His career against Tampa, he has gone 0-2 with a 7.71 ERA over 14 innings against the Rays. He has given up 4 home runs. For the Rays tonight, it'll be right-hand pitcher Zach Eflin on the mound. He is 12-6 with a 3.46 ERA in 3 career starts against the Cardinals. 1-1 with a 4.42 ERA. That covers 18 1/3 innings. It's going to be a challenge to beat him in Tampa as well at home this year. Eflin has been really good. He is 10-2 with a 2.60 ERA when he has pitched at home this season. Cardinals are coming off a fairly tough homestand. They end up losing, they end up losing 2 of 3 against the Colorado Rockies, and they lost by a 1-0 score their last time out this past Sunday. As far as what we've got coming up on this edition of Ameren Total Access, we'll hear from Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol. He'll sit down with Mike Claiborne. That's going to be coming up in our next segment. We'll look around the farm report with our Bayer Farm Report. We have inside the park and inside the clubhouse. That is all coming up. It is the Cardinals and the Rays tonight. Do want to remind you that you can listen to every Major League Baseball game live or on demand with At Bat and watch all minor league baseball plus live look-ins on MLB Big Inning, no blackouts. Visit MLB.com/atbat for all the details. Cardinals and Rays tonight. Up next, we hear from Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol. This is Ameren Total Access on the Cardinals Radio Network, powered by Gray Bar.
Hey, all you backyard chefs and barbecue gurus. Barbecue season is here, and I know that you're anxious to fire up that smoker or grill, but your yard needs mowed. Yes, your wife is getting hangry, but that grass isn't going to cut itself. What's an aspiring pitmaster going to do? Get the world's fastest mower, a Dixie chopper from Dedicated Diesel in Urbana. They carry a full line of Dixie choppers from the Z2 and beautiful Eagle residential models up to the big Excalibur and classic commercial machines that can mow nearly 8 acres an hour. Get your Dixie chopper at Champaign-Urbana's only dealer, Dedicated Diesel, at 1313 Triumph Drive in Urbana. This is award-winning competition pitmaster Tim Onstadt, and whether I'm cooking low and slow or hot and fast, I always have time to savor the flavor because my mowing time is cut down by Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest mower. Get your Dixie Chopper at Champaign-Urbana's only dealer, Dedicated Diesel, at 1313 Triumph Drive in Urbana, 217-328-0562.
Let Max Twin City Recycling pay you for your junk metal items. As the weather begins to heat up, now is a great time to put cash in your pocket for the steel, copper, brass, and aluminum items you've been meaning to get rid of. We've recently added a large concrete pad to make unloading quicker and cleaner for our customers. Visit us on North Lincoln Avenue, just north of I-74, or at maxrecycling.com.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
At ABC Heating and Air, it's our promise to help you always be comfortable. Do you need rescued because you're burning hot? Do you need rescued because your air is shot? Call ABC Heating and Air at 352-5400 and let us rescue you from the heat. ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400. Can't you see you need to call me at ABC? Call ABC Heating and Air. That's ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Sit back and relax and take the drive with Lonte and Derek Piper. Weekdays 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Cardinals and Rays tonight, opening up a 3-game midweek series as we continue on with Ameren Total Access. Miles Michaelis against Zach Eflin, the pitching matchup. The Rays have been one of the better teams in baseball all season long. They enter with a 68-46 record. They started off the season almost just not being able to lose home games. They won 30 of their first 36 home games. However, they have lost 13 of their last 20 games at Tropicana Field, and they have not won a home series since June 9th to the 11th against the Rangers, so possibly an opportunity for the Cardinals to have some success against them. Let's head to Tampa right now. Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol is standing by with Mike Claiborne. This conversation being brought to you by Webster University.
Well, Oliver Marmol, a day off yesterday, a nice day here in Florida. The team seems like they're recharged and ready to go against a very good Tampa team. What makes them good?
They do a lot of things well. It was good to have an off day. Boys are ready to go. Speaking of the Rays, they do a lot of things well. They pitch well. They got a really good lineup. They can hit. They run the bases aggressively, and they play really good defense. But a well put together club. They miss bats. Their bullpen does a nice job. Their starters are really good. So it'll be a really good 3 days here.
Are they the face of teams in baseball now who don't spend a lot of money on payroll and they've just been able to develop from within?
Yeah, they do a really nice job with it, and they got guys that do a really nice job on the pitching side of it, and they've done a really nice job of putting together a club that can really hit.
And they're more of a swing and miss team as far as pitching is concerned.
Yeah, they'll miss some bats, and they do a good job of that. But if you look at each guy, they each have a outlier pitch that they rely on, and they go too often.
And they don't give you a chance to make too many mistakes against them. This is a team that capitalizes on those.
Oh, yeah, they're just well put together. That's what good teams do.
Let's talk about your starter, Miles Michaelis. He's well rested after the suspension. What are you looking for from him tonight, and would you be willing to let him go a little longer?
No, he'll go what he would normally go. He's built up. He was down an extra day from what he would normally have been down. But no, this outing looks no different than any other, and our expectations are that he does no different than any other. Go out there, pound the zone, and give us a chance.
You have been happy with the expectations of some of your pitchers recently, especially your starters, starting with Thompson and Matz and going back?
Yeah, those two guys have done a really nice job. Matz continues to just, it looks different, and it's been positive. He's been aggressive on the attack from pitch one. Thompson did a really nice job in his outing, giving us the innings that he did. I mean, talk about being able to miss a bat and get some punch outs and give us a chance. That was a really, really productive outing.
Where did that come from? Because he'd been struggling with command most of the season, whether it was here or in Memphis. So what changed?
Yeah, we're going to really need him to go out there and repeat that. It's going to be on him to really command the baseball. He's been working extremely hard at it, and this is a guy that cares. When he went down to AAA, had trouble commanding the baseball. Walk rate was up, came up, and we didn't see any of that this time out. Pounded the zone with all his pitches. Used that slider more than we've seen it, and that's a really good pitch for him because it's a different look from the slow curveball and the fastball, and it played extremely well. So no, that was a really good outing, and now we have to build off of it.
Don't pinch him, man. Leave him alone.
No.
All right, let's talk about your lineup.
Lineup-wise, we got Newpart leading off and DHing, Goldie at first, Gorman at second, Arenado at third, Contreras catching, O'Neill in left, Walker in right, Carlson in center, and Eddie at short.
All right, let's have some fun in Tampa on the field as well.
All right, let's do it.
Fellas, thanks so much. That conversation being brought to you by Webster University. We'll come back, give you an idea of what's going on this evening across the Cardinals minor league system. This is Ameren Total Access on the Cardinals Radio Network, powered by Gray Bar.
This is Cardinals broadcaster John Rooney. Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance is for the people of Missouri, in good times and in bad. They're for Missouri families and Missouri communities. And when Missouri weather rips through our state, they are here to put back the pieces. So if you have one car or 20, a home or an apartment, a business, a boat, or an entire family legacy to protect, if you're a Missourian, Missouri Farm Bureau Insurance is for you.
Throughout the history of the St. Louis Cardinals, many have delivered incredible moments, but few have achieved a career worthy of immortality. This year, Edward Jones and the St. Louis Cardinals are proud to announce Max Lanier and Jose Oquendo will become the newest members of the Cardinals Hall of Fame. And you can join in the celebration at the Cardinals Hall of Fame induction ceremony on August 20th at Ballpark Village. Learn more at cardinals.com/HOF.
At ABC Heating and Air, it's our promise to help you always be comfortable. Do you need rescued because you're burning hot? Do you need rescued because your air is shot? Call ABC Heating and Air at 352-5400 and let us rescue you from the heat. ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400. Can't you see you need to call me at ABC? Call ABC Heating and Air. That's ABC Heating and Air, 352-5400.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Looking for a place to land? Frasca International has cleared the runway. Hi, I'm Kent Dunford, and I've been a part of the Frasca family for over 35 years. Working at Frasca has been a long, enjoyable career and has allowed me to be part of something that truly makes a difference. We directly contribute to safety in the skies worldwide, both commercially and with our military. The culture and atmosphere here at Frasca are family-oriented and flexible, which provides a good work-life balance for everyone. For more information on how you can apply, visit frasca.com/careers.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Mike Greenberg. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Continuing to get you all set for the Cardinals and the Rays from Tampa, Florida this evening. Ameren Total Access rolls on. The voice of the Cardinals, John Rooney, along with Ricky Horton, will have the call of the game. Also more from Mike Claiborne coming up in a little while. Matt Pauley continuing to be with you throughout the course of this program. The Cardinals did make an announcement today that they, along with Central Bank, are teaming up to present fans with a special discount ticket offer on sale now. Fans are able to purchase tickets for as low as $5 and field box tickets for as low as $15 to watch the Cardinals take on the A's from August 14th to the 16th, and then the Mets on August 17th. A limited number of these specially priced tickets are available just while supplies last. Tickets are limited to 8 per person per game. If you want to visit, if you want to purchase those tickets, you visit Cardinals.com, Central Bank, and that's where you can get all taken care of. Time for the Bayer Farm Report, brought to you by Bayer Health for All. Hunger for none. Nothing underway yet. Yesterday was just an off day across the Cardinals minor league system for their full season teams, and nothing underway quite yet. Memphis is going to open up a quick series against Durham this evening. Did notice, gotta love this, the Memphis Redbirds announced earlier today they're going to be doing a bobblehead giveaway on Saturday, September 2nd in Memphis, and the bobblehead is going to be that of Jordan Walker. Walker spent just a few weeks with the Memphis Redbirds, but it was enough for him to get a bobblehead. It's a good-looking bobblehead for that